Let's get this going.
I'll call to order a regular meeting of the Goodyear City Council. If you wouldn't mind joining Councilmember Osborne in the Pledge of Allegiance and invocation.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Heavenly Father, tonight our city discusses its finances. Please give us guidance on our decisions with accountability and justification. Continue to watch over the ones who protect us here and abroad. And lastly, there is a person watching tonight who needs your speedy recovery. In your mighty name we pray. Amen.
Amen. Mayor Kavanaugh is out of town this evening on city business at the Conference of Mayors. I'll ask for a motion to excuse him from the meeting.
So moved.
Second.
I have a motion from Councilmember Cavalier and everyone else, and a second from Councilmember Holland. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
We're going to move to the approval and ratification of expenditures. I actually have a conflict on this one, and I'm going to recuse myself. I'm going to ask Mr. Sousa to preside over this portion of the meeting. So it's all yours.
I assume all of you have reviewed the expenditures, Form A. And are there any questions before ratification?
No.
I'll accept a motion for ratification.
Say that again, Dick.
Take a motion.
Oh,
Yes.
yes. I
I move we accept the expenditures as
sorry.
It's been moved
I
and
didn't
seconded.
quite catch that.
We approve and ratify the expenditures. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
aye.
Back, Mayor. Vice Mayor.
Thank you, Mr. Sousa.
We've got a few communication items this evening. First one's the introduction of the BMX board, and I believe Connie Stepnitz will present.
Vice Mayor, council members, as you know, the city leases city land for a BMX bike track over by the dog park. What I'd like to do tonight is I would like to introduce the new board that was voted in January, so that you are familiar with who's running the and taking care of the current day-to-day operations. I'd like to bring up Lynette Hill. She is the treasurer and the clerk of the course. She's going to give you a very brief update and then introduce her board.
Good evening, Council. My name is Lynette Hill, and as Connie stated, I am the current clerk of course, as well as the treasurer. My husband Justin and I took over the track January 1st. I'd like to just briefly introduce our board. First, we have Ken Britt. He is our marketing director. We also have Brett Shepard, who is behind me. He also assists Mr. Britt and Ms. Britt in the marketing of our track, as well as promotional information. Behind me, I have Christina Shepard. She is our secretary. I have Lance Freed. He is our facilities maintenance and development. I also have behind me Johnny Woodmansee, who is our member at large. If we have a few minutes, my husband, Justin Hill, would like to come up and just give you a real quick update on what we're doing at the track.
Please do.
Good evening, Council. As my wife said, on January we took over the track. We had 3 weeks to prepare for the Coyote Nationals, which the National Bicycle League brought here. During that time, we had 28 different states across the nation and 7 different countries that came and hoteled here in Goodyear, which brought in quite a bit for the city. We are going to be getting the national back next year. The NBL, the National Bicycle League, liked all the accommodations of the track, the city, the hotels being close by on Estrella Parkway, which helped out quite a bit. And in the meantime, the Olympics is having the BMX for the first time this year in the Olympics. And there's been a lot of training going on, and we've actually had the Olympic team from New Zealand come and stayed here for 2 weeks and trained at our facility, because a lot of the track and gates and stuff that we use is also used in the Olympics. So things are looking up for us. Got lots of new improvements, new towers that have been built in, and our trailer, administration trailer and everything's all been remodeled, and things are looking really well for us. And next year, we had 326 riders here in January, and next year we're looking at doubling that. So hoping to get up around the 600-700 mark. And if everything continues, the MBL wants to continue bringing the event here. So just wanted to give you an update.
Fantastic.
All right, thank you. Any questions or?
Does anybody have any
Just a
questions?
comment on that.
Yeah, please do.
You know, it was, the BMX track kind of got off to a rocky start,
Correct.
but we're really pleased that you guys are in Goodyear, and I think you make us proud. You know, you brought the Nationals here, and you're going to do it again, and we're really proud of that. Thank
Great.
you.
Thank you.
Regarding the legality of this transition, has that been checked into, the ownership, the leasing arrangements and what have you?
Mr. Mayor, Vice Mayor, members of council, my recollection, and I haven't looked at it recently, but I believe there was an assignment clause that was executed, but we can double check on that for you.
Back in January.
My concern here is what, the agreement was with the Woodmanseys, and now we have another entity taking over. Are we legally in sync with this transition?
You know what, we don't have the item posted for discussion. I don't want to stray here, so.
Yeah, that's a good point.
Can we ask staff to get back to Mr. Sousa on that point?
Well, we'll check into it and get a report
Okay,
back.
fine. Real good, thank you.
I would ask you, doing a great job out there, appreciate all the efforts. Where would youth contact you if they were interested in participating, and what are your hours? And
We've been given monthly updates to Connie, a schedule, and to the
Okay.
Park and Recs Department. And we have a website. It's Estrella Mountain BMX, all spelled out, and a lot of our youth get on there. And we're actually looking at trying to start up some scholarship funds for some underprivileged kids and stuff. So that's something that we're working on right now also.
Great,
So,
fantastic. If we can
Alrighty.
help you out, don't hesitate to let us know.
great. Thank you, sir.
Thank you. With that, we'll move to the next communication item from the Phoenix Goodyear Airport, and Brian Dahlke's got the lead on this.
Vice Mayor, members of the council, it's my pleasure to be here before you tonight to introduce this next team. As you know, we enjoy just an excellent relationship with the City of Phoenix Aviation Department. Their airport, the Phoenix Goodyear Airport, certainly within our city limits, so a lot of cooperation and collaboration over the years. So it's my pleasure tonight to introduce Carl Newman, who is a Deputy Aviation Director for City of Phoenix, and he would like to say a couple of remarks and also do another introduction. Thank you.
Thank you, Brian. Mayor Antoniak and members of the City Council, thank you all for having us here this afternoon. It's good to get back out and see many of the friendly faces here in the city of Goodyear. As you know, the city of Goodyear and Phoenix have enjoyed a unique partnership that is centered around Goodyear Airport. The city of Phoenix acquired Goodyear Airport in 1968, and since that time it has become an important general aviation airport here in the West Valley. Phoenix and Goodyear, as Brian mentioned, have worked very closely over the past several years to ensure that the airport meets the needs of Goodyear as well as the rest of the West Valley here, and that's both for now and into the future. The airport has developed a reputation for excellent community relations, especially during high-profile events like the Super Bowl, and I know twice a year we have NASCAR events here, and it does it during that time as well. Today I'm pleased to tell you about some great things that are happening out at Goodyear Airport as it relates to the innovative management and other programs at the Goodyear Airport. Phoenix Goodyear Airport recently received the 2007 Airport of the Year Award from the Arizona Department of Transportation. I know without a doubt that this award is a reflection, certainly of the great partnership that we have with the City of Goodyear and the residents in the valley, in this portion of the valley. Now, to tell you a little bit more about this program and of the award I'd like to introduce Barney Helmick, whom all of you know as the airport manager out at Goodyear. Barney is one of our stellar performers, and we're very pleased and happy that he is here with the Goodyear Airport and working with you all in this portion of the valley. Barney?
Good evening. Thank you, Vice Mayor Antoniak and council members. Appreciate being here this evening. And currently, the Goodyear Airport has one 8,500-foot-long runway and is staffed between the hours of 6 a.m. and 9 p.m. daily. We operate the airport with a staff of just 12 employees. We've been able to accomplish a lot with minimal staffing levels. The Goodyear Airport has two major tenants. Aeroturbine operates a large commercial aircraft maintenance and repair operation. Aeroturbine is an important West Valley employer with approximately 85 employees currently. Airline Training Center of Arizona, our other major tenant, provides flight training services for the German-based Lufthansa Airlines, as well as British Oxford Aviation and the German Air Force. Their students live in dorms that are located on the airport, and the Airline Training Center of Arizona has been training pilots at Goodyear since 1992 and a proud member of our community. The flight school's activity keep Goodyear Airport very busy. Some of the activities and programs for which we were recognized in this award include an Air and Balloon Spectacular, which was hosted in 2006. The show includes performances by the Blue Angels and other acrobatic pilots. In addition, in 2007, we completed an airport master plan process. An airport master plan is intended to be a proactive document which identifies and then plans for future facility needs well in advance of the actual needs for the facilities. With a sound master plan in place, Phoenix Goodyear Airport can maintain its role as an important link to the national air transportation system for the community of Goodyear. And the Goodyear Airport also attracted its first ever fixed-based operator, a company that will provide aeronautical services to tenants and itinerant traffic at Goodyear. We created a safety action team to address safety and security needs and developed a drivers training program for tenants and employees and produced a safe fueling video. I'm proud of the team of dedicated Goodyear Airport employees, tenants, and stakeholders who are responsible for this achievement. They take ownership in the airport as well as the community does and work hard every day to ensure that the airport reflects positively on both the City of Phoenix as well as the City of Goodyear and all the Southwest Valley. I know I speak for all of them when I say that we are looking forward to continuing to work together with the City of Goodyear to serve this community and its future needs. Thank you very much. And you'll see here our plaque. Thank you. This is reflective of the entire community.
A brief proclamation. I think we want to all step down there, and pardon those in the audience, but we're going to step down there and do a quick photo. But I'll read the proclamation first. In recognition of honors received by the Phoenix Goodyear Airport 2008, whereas Phoenix Goodyear Airport was the recipient of the 2008 Airport of the Year Award presented by the Aeronautics Division of the Arizona Department of Transportation, and whereas the Air Traffic Control Tower at Phoenix Goodyear was named Air Traffic Facility of the Year by Serco Management Services Incorporated, which operates more than 50 air traffic control towers in the western United States. And whereas Air Traffic Controller Jennifer Bartley of the Phoenix Goodyear Airport was named Controller of the Year for Contract Towers by Serco, and whereas the Phoenix Goodyear Airport has had an 86% increase in air traffic during the past 2 years. And whereas the Phoenix Goodyear Airport had 0 air traffic errors in 2007 and implemented effective new measures to ensure such continued safety. And whereas the Goodyear Airport has been founded by the Federal Aviation Administration and Serco facility evaluators to demonstrate strength in the areas of positive control, teamwork, communication, coordination, and professionalism. And now, therefore, be it resolved that I, Robert Antoniak, Vice Mayor of Goodyear, Arizona, on behalf of the City Council, do hereby call upon all residents of Goodyear to recognize the valuable asset this airport is to our community, especially for the important role it plays in economic development, and applaud the prestigious honors earned by the Phoenix Goodyear Airport that validate the excellence of this facility, in witness whereof I hereunto set my hand this 23rd day of June 2008. So, thank you for your partnership.
Do you want us to say something?
Yeah, I think Brenda might have a comment or two, and someone else that may have interacted with the airport might have a comment or two.
Well, I just want to say, of course, we're very proud. We're so glad that you're here and that these awards came up. But I also would like to say, for those of us that on the council that actually worked directly with you and on the general plan, it was an honor, and I just feel really proud to have you as part of our community. So thank you.
Anyone else? Just want to say, very happy that you're here, very proud to have you here, Barney. And you've been here since I've been here, I think.
I'd just like to add, Barney, thanks so much for working on the city center and being a part of that. We really appreciate it and all your input.
Fantastic. Shelley? Jump up. They want us to take a photo. What's that? Yeah, I'll stand in the back. Organized.
There we go. Everybody's smiling. 1, 2, 3. And one more just in case. You never know. 1, 2, 3. Thank you.
It's great.
Guess that's a night, right? We're all going home now.
One more bit of community. Thanks again to the gentleman from the airport. For those of you in the audience that don't realize, Phoenix Goodyear Airport is actually owned by the city of Phoenix, not owned by the city of Goodyear. And so we've always collaborated on many, many different issues inside and outside the walls of the airport, and enjoy a very, very good partnership with them, everywhere from our planning and zoning efforts that go around the airport up into them participating in the city center and many other active processes that influence and impact that facility that's very much necessary to our community.
And now our ball field, right?
And now our ball fields. That's right. All right, one more bit of communication. Pandemic influenza drill briefing. I got that off. And Dr. Jeff Thomas, nice to have you back in the city of Goodyear.
Thanks, Mr. Vice Mayor. It's nice to see you. Nice to see all of you again, and nice to meet you, Councilmember Osborne. Very briefly, the city of Goodyear is going to hold a pandemic drill on July 25th from 7 a.m. to 5 p.m. throughout the entire day of business. The pandemic is basically a pandemic occurs about every 30 years. And it's when we have a new strain of flu that we don't have an immune system response for. It spreads very rapidly around the world. If we get the flu in Maricopa County, what we will see is right now our population is about 3.8 million people. Over a 6-month period, 1.3 million people will be sick. That's 358,000 per day. What will happen with the result of that is the absenteeism rate for every employer, including the city of Goodyear, will be about 40%. So if the pandemic hits, or more like when the pandemic hits in Maricopa County, what we'll see is supermarkets will run out of food in about 5 days. Service stations will run out of fuel in about 5 days. And that has to do with that 40% absenteeism rate. So the delivery system that brings food to the supermarket, fuel to the service stations, is going to be disrupted. And so there will be intermittent deliveries, but by and large, people are not going to have fuel or food. So part of the education of this is stock up. The healthcare system will be overwhelmed. People will have a difficult time accessing health care. It's going to put a lot of strain on the city's fire department providing EMS. And then all public assemblies will be closed. Schools, daycare, restaurants, theaters, senior centers, shopping malls, everywhere where people congregate, the county health department will shut those down. So what that translates into the city of Goodyear, right now we have 532 full-time employees with an absenteeism rate of 40%. That's 213 employees that will not be at work each day. Some will be sick, some will be home taking care of family members who are sick, some will want to come to work and just can't get here. All of our public assemblies will be closed. There will be no city council meetings. The parks, the swimming pools, all the recreation programs, those type of things will be closed down, and the county will impose that upon us. That's not a choice that we're going to have. So for our drill, what we'd like to do is simulate the 40% absenteeism rate that we'll see if we're in the middle of this pandemic. One of the goals is to familiarize the city with the pandemic response plan, which all of you adopted a couple of years ago. We want to determine what are the essential city services that need to be functioning during a pandemic. We want to develop plans for continuity of service. How will the city keep running? And we want to take this opportunity to educate the public regarding pandemic influenza. So it's important to note that during this drill, no employees will call in sick and nobody will be forced to use sick leave. All employees will report to work on the day we have this exercise. However, Human Resources will generate a random list of 40% of the city employees, and that will include all of you. And if you are selected for that, you will not be sick, but you will be put in quarantine. And so the employees will call in quarantine at the time that they would normally call in sick. If you're selected, you'll get a sign for your office. You'll get a badge that you can wear around your neck. And basically what that means is you're in quarantine. So if you're in quarantine, what it means is you will not be able to interact with the public face-to-face. You will not be able to interact with your coworkers face-to-face. You can do computer work. You can talk on the telephone, but basically people can't have face-to-face access with you. Those who are not in quarantine will wear a face mask. So think of like face masks you see people in Asia wearing. People will be wearing those all day, and that is one of the health precautions that people will take during a pandemic. Visitors who come into the city at any of the public access points on the day of the drill may be asked to wear a face mask. We will do some things in lobby control, so we maintain 4-foot distance, part of the social distancing that happens during a pandemic, and their participation is voluntary. City staff members have to go outside of the city for any sort of meeting. They won't be in quarantine when they're outside of the city limits. And we will trust our staff members to use their best judgment of when it might not make sense to wear a mask when people come into the city. There will be signs posted throughout the city. Education material will be developed, and that will be available for everybody at all public points of contact. We will notify the media prior to the event that this is happening. We're going to publicize the event through the website, through InFocus, and through some press releases. And what will happen after that is the directors or whoever the highest person is in each department that's not in quarantine, they'll report to the EOC at 1 o'clock. We'll have a debriefing, and they'll present the plan of action for how will their department continue to run. Pandemic is likely to last about 90 days. So over a 90-day period, how will your department function with that 40% absenteeism rate? And so that's our plan. If there's any questions.
More questions tonight. First of all, this is, I understand where you're going with this, and I think the last time that we had an influenza epidemic was like the 70s?
1968.
Okay.
Yeah, and so every 30 years, we are in the closing
That's where I
side
wanted
of
to
that
ask.
window. Actually, we're past 30 years. So we're at a 40-year period. That window is closing rapidly.
So it could be imminent, meaning within the next 3 or 4, 5 years.
Yeah, it definitely could happen in the next few years, and yeah, it could happen. It could be 20 years on, 2026. So
Okay.
we don't know.
But we would be prepared. I
We don't-
think
yeah, and that's the
sounds
idea
good.
is that
This
we're
important.
prepared.
Yeah, thank you.
Are we getting at the point where there's certain strains of flu that we're
Well,
unable, are we seeing signs of that?
Yeah, that's
more,
a
that
that's a
type
good
of flu?
question. Everybody worries about the H5N1, which is the avian or bird flu, and right now, for human beings to catch that flu, they have to interact with birds that are sick, and then if the human beings become sick, they are not able to pass that from one human to another. The thing that happens with viri is they mutate rapidly, and so the concern is if that virus mutates to a point where it's easily transmissible between humans, then we'll we'll see bird flu. But it may not be bird flu. It
Could be
it
something.
could.
But there are not other strains that you know about?
Oh,
that are
it
getting
could be
weak?
squirrel flu, it could
Oh,
be
okay.
elephant flu, we don't know. So,
lizard
the
flu
last
out here.
epidemic was the Asian flu in 1968, that was the one. So,
Okay.
a lot of people are looking at the next pandemic and making plans based on the Spanish flu epidemic that happened in 1918. So, that's kind of how the planning is going right now. That's a good question.
So even getting our flu shots.
Recommend flu shots every season, absolutely. When you cough, we're not doing hands anymore, cough into the elbow.
This may be a strain
So,
of that
wash
flu
your
shot
hands.
that year will not.
That's right.
Much like this year, yeah, the flu shot was off and it was a different strain that made people sick, so we just don't know.
Any other questions for Jeff?
Thank you very much.
sir, for the briefing. Appreciate it. At this time, we'll move to citizen comments and appearances from the floor. This is a time for citizens who would like to address the city council on any non-agenda item. The council will listen to comments, but may take any one of the following: respond to criticism, request that staff investigate and report on the matter, or request that the matter be scheduled on a future agenda. I think we have one card.
We have one card.
And
Robert Gilbert.
Mr. Gilbert, this is your time.
Vice Mayor, ladies and gentlemen of the council, good evening. I am a homeowner. I live at 15090 West Windward Avenue in the city of Goodyear. That is the Rio Paseo Association over there. And we have a problem with our, as some of you know, our park. Our park is bordered by Virginia on one side, the canal, not Virginia, Virginia and Canal, and then we're on the other side, we're Pebble Creek and 151st. So it's a very, very big park. It's got a water feature. It has playgrounds and whatever in it. As you may not know, TUSA, which is the parent company of Engel Homes, has filed and is under protection of the bankruptcy courts, which leaves us in a quandary with the park. The park was under a 2-year maintenance agreement to be turned over to the city, and because of some problems with the park, dry wells and et cetera, the city has refused to take possession of the park, which now leaves the park without water. All the plants are dying over there. The grass is dead. When we get rain or when we get runoff from Pebble Creek, from the golf course, it stands down there. We're going to have a West Nile problem if we get some rains this year. And I guess the thing that's disturbing is this 2-year maintenance that the city knew about, that the park was supposed to be turned over to them, and these problems. Apparently the city didn't put enough fire under Engel's feet to get these problems corrected before the 2 years ran out, and now they're in bankruptcy, and apparently there is zero money from the bankruptcy courts to handle this problem. I guess I'm asking the city, what can we do? We're right across the street from the new mall. When the mall gets built there, they'll look right at this park. The water smells foul over there now. It looks foul coming out of that big water feature. The lights do not work in the park now. We're getting a lot of undesirables in there. There's graffiti. There's ATV, people riding their ATVs in that park and that canal. The police department's got a deaf ear to when you call them and tell them that these things are going on, because they say it's not their problem. I'm asking the council to do something. I don't know what it is, what you can do. Maybe you can't do anything, but maybe we can put some fire into somebody's feet around here and see that this gets taken care of.
Oh, Mr. Gilbert, at this time we can't take action on it, but we can ask staff to give us a full report of what's going on. I think we'd probably all concur that we need to hear from staff in terms of maybe any police calls that have gone out there, the history and transition of the property.
Some options.
And some options for council to maybe take action on this item in the future. Is there any
Yeah,
other?
our HOA is not allowed to go in there.
Okay.
I've been policing it as far as undesirables. I've been getting threatened over there. I go in and pick up trash that they leave. But we definitely need the police department, and even if the city could put some signs up on that park and close some of those entrances to the ATVs, we could stop some of it.
Right. Okay. Well, I appreciate it. It takes a lot to come down here and tell us about it publicly and put us on the spot, and definitely sounds like one we all need to follow up on and make sure Mr. Gilbert is in communication with, or we're communicating with Mr. Gilbert as to the results of that, the findings and any communication you have with us on that issue. Any other ideas, things that we want to hear back from staff on this one?
We'd like to have a report back, and that should at least tell us what our options are.
Okay.
Thank you very much.
I will tell you, Thursday night, there's a HOA summit, right?
Right.
That we're having at City Hall at 6:30.
Yes.
Thank you, voice from the audience. Thank you, Lily. At 6:30, and I'd encourage you and any other residents that want to hear about, what HOAs are empowered to do during this time period. And a lot of folks are going through the flux of, some assets being in one person's hands and not. And
Yeah, we
vice
have plenty
versa.
of, we have plenty of money in our HOA. We just can't spend it for this.
Okay.
We're kind of locked out of the system.
That's right. Well, maybe collaboratively we can put our heads together and come up with some positive solution on this one.
Thank you very much.
Thank you, Mr. Gilbert.
Thank you.
Appreciate it. Is there any other cards? Are there any other comments from the public? Okay, with that, we'll move to consent. I'll ask the city clerk to read consent items A through O by title only.
Item A, approve draft minutes of a regular meeting held on June 9, 2008. Item B, adopt Resolution 08-1243, authorizing the submission of an application to Arizona Department of Water Resources to modify its designation of assured water supply. Item C, approve the final plat for Saraville Crossing Business Park, subdividing 71.81 acres into 18 commercial, business park, and industrial lots located at the southeast corner of Saraville Road and Elwood Street, subject to stipulations. Item D, adopt Ordinance 08-1117, providing for the establishment of a final planned area development overlay zoning district on 57 acres within the general industrial zoning district, generally located 1/4 mile south of the southeast corner of Yuma Road and Litchfield Road, and 1/8 mile north of the northwest corner of MC 85 and Litchfield Road, adopting supplementary zoning map number 07-025 to provide for the change in zoning, providing separability, and providing for an effective date. Item E, approve an amendment to the architectural design guidelines contained within the proposed final planned area development plan for at-home district, generally located at the southeast corner of Bullard Avenue and McDowell Road, subject to the one recommended stipulation. Item F, adopt Resolution 08-1244, acting under the authority of ARS 9-981 et sec, providing for the appointment of John Fishbach and Lynn Mulhall as new trustees for the Goodyear Volunteer and Reserve Firefighter Retirement Trust, replacing Stephen Cleveland and D. Cockrum. Item G, approve an amendment to the stipulation of the final plat approvals for Estrella Mountain Ranch parcels 97 and 98 by modifying stipulation number 28 and adding a new stipulation number 30. Item H, approve the comprehensive sign package for Mountain Ranch Marketplace, a proposed 22-acre commercial center located at the northwest corner of Estrella Parkway and Elliott Road in Phase 1 of the Estrella Planned Area Development, subject to 2 recommended stipulations. Item I, award a construction contract to Knuckle Brothers, Inc. for a total amount of $1,102,269.65 for project number DRO705/1096-08, Bullard Avenue, Van Buren Street to Yuma Road. Item J, award a construction contract to Pearson Construction Corporation for for a total amount of $2,656,692.10 for project number STO706/1094-08, Bullard Avenue improvements, Lower Buckeye Parkway to Bullard Wash. Item K, adopt the Integrated Water Master Plan report. Item L, adopt an exhibition policy for Goodyear's Art and Civic Spaces program recommended for approval by the Arts and Culture Commission. Item M, approve the 2009 spring training ticket prices. Item N, authorize the city manager to execute a professional services contract with Replenishment Services, LLC, in the amount of $46,500 to provide assistance with the preparation of the Assured Water Supply redesignation. Item O, approve a contract with URS Corporation to develop a neighborhood circulator study.
Is there anyone from the public that wishes to remove an item from the consent agenda? Hearing none, is there anyone from council that wishes to remove an item from consent? Seeing none of that, I'll ask for a motion on the consent. In a second.
So moved.
Got a motion from Councilmember Cavalier and a second from Councilmember Holland. I'll ask for a roll call vote.
Councilmember Sousa?
Aye.
Councilmember Cavalier?
Aye.
Councilmember Lord?
Aye.
Councilmember Holland?
Aye.
Councilmember Osborne?
Aye.
Vice Mayor Antoniak?
Aye.
Passes 6-0.
With that, we'll move to business. After the mass exodus, I'll restart the meeting. Have safe rides home, folks.
Sign one, you know what you're talking about? I thought you would pull it off, but you didn't. No. Oh, look, it's trouble. You thought that was all right. I had marked it.
Oh, yeah.
Item 8A.
We're okay.
We'll now have a public hearing to consider the truth in taxation and adopting a final budget. I'll open the hearing. Terry Canada is to present. Can you get past everybody exiting the place?
I thought they were here for me.
Darn.
Can you wipe the sweat from your forehead now? Nobody's.
Good evening, Mayor and Council. I am pleased to be here tonight to present the final fiscal year
I'm sorry, can you
2009
get closer?
budget.
We cannot hear you at all.
Hold the microphone. Maybe slow down just a little.
I'm here to present the final 2009 fiscal year 2009 budget. With that, I'd like to go over just a few of the key dates that we've been working toward to get to the June 23rd public hearing tonight. On November 20th, we had a work session that was the initial budget review that kind of kicked off, bringing us up to date, what's happened with the economy and some of the local conditioning here with the revenues. We worked through a series of work sessions that were held in the spring that all culminated to the council advance, in which you gave us some key priorities that you wanted to move forward in the budget. We have adopted the tentative budget according to state law on the 19th, which set the maximum expenditure appropriation. And tonight we're here to hold a public hearing on the final budget, as well as approve the tax levy increased valuation. So briefly, I'm just going to go over the budget again. The total for this year is on the revenue side is $405 million. Some of the key components of that you'll notice that 44% comes from the carryover. Large percent of that is from recent bond sales that we just brought before you, $44 million. It also includes $65 million from the Bond Stadium, as well as the McDowell Road ID. 22% of it comes from taxes and fees and charges for services, which represents about $13 million. Utility user fees is another $24 million. And proposed bonds coming up in the next year also represent another 24%, again, including the new second team stadium at $33 million, $8 million for water and sewer revenue bonds. On the expenditure side, once again, the total budget is $405 million. No surprise with the growing community, the capital and the one-time expenditures are the largest. It includes $102 million for capital improvement carryover, again, which is the stadium, a large portion of the stadium, and $102 million for the other CIP projects. I'm sorry, the total there's $167 million. The other components that are making up the budget are 22% for operations. It's right around $83 million. Debt services included at $18 million. New spring training second team facility at $33 million. And for unforeseen emergency appropriation, there is $20 million included for contingency. Just to quickly highlight the operating revenues that make up the $86 million. Want to point to user fees. Again, that's 28%. That is from the enterprise funds, which would include water, sewer, and sanitation. Sales tax is a large portion of this. At $23 million, it does not include the one-time construction sales tax. State share comes in at 14%. It's right around $12 million. On the expenditure side of the operating budget, I'm just going to point out that Public Works represents about 30%, which is the largest department. That would include fleet facilities, stadium, parks. And then for a combined total of 30% or 29% is public safety, includes police and fire. The next largest resource would be utilities department at 14%. And again, a lot of these slides have been shown as we've been progressing through the budget process here. With the adoption of the final budget tonight, it also includes the capital improvement program. Here I just have shown a graph by project type. Again, in a community this size, the street projects are totaling 9.7, which isn't a surprise. And then the next largest component of the program would be $8.5 million of utility projects. Total plan is $27.3 million, and that is current year non-carryover money. And it would be representative of the plan that Ken gave to you a couple of weeks ago.
Yes, I sent out the new revised plan.
Do you have the, we all know what we're talking about?
I have it dissected.
There you go. So we all know what we're referring to. As we put together the final budget this year, we incorporated a number of good financial policies, and I just kind of wanted to go over that. We did ensure fiscal conservatism here. What we're trying to do is make sure that the city is in solid financial condition where we have ongoing revenue supporting ongoing expenditures and not to overcommit ourselves. We've also allowed for flexibility in that, the ability to respond to changing economic conditions. I think the preparation of this year's operating budget is a good example of that. Again, as we went through the revenue estimates and we had to make some changes and pare back on stuff, we were able to balance the budget going forward for operations. We also try to strive to have best management practices incorporated. This would include the highest standards for budget and financial reporting. And this is evidenced by the achievement of our Distinguished Budget Presentation Award that we've got a number of years in a row. Moving ahead to some specific guidelines we use in development of the operating budget. Once again, we wanted to ensure that ongoing revenues were sufficient to support ongoing costs. We also, under the guidance of the council, have revenues from growth that are targeted to development-related costs or infrastructure. This year, it happens to be 50% of the construction one-time sales tax is dedicated to the capital improvement program. And again, we are maintaining a contingency reserve equal to $20 million, which is right around a quarter or 4 months of operating expenditures, according to the policy. Just to highlight the council priorities that were included in the budget, one more time, here's the list. The notable capital improvement projects, as well as the public safety positions, the monument signs. And also tonight, you're being asked to vote on the valuation increase. Something I'm going to try and just go over this slide. The primary and the secondary tax rate are listed here. The tax rate remains the same in total. The primary tax levy does increase. Most of that is due to the new construction, which is $639,000. $639 million. That increase brings about the primary tax levy increase of the $96,000. That's what you're being asked to vote on for an increase tonight. It's not the tax rate. Again, that stays constant at 1.60.
So 96.008. Did you say
Excuse
the
me?
96?
The 96,000 is the increase in the valuation. Once you remove the new construction. And what we're asking tonight is that there is a public hearing. It's both on the final budget and the tax valuation increase. And then you'll be required to convene after the public hearing to have a special meeting to adopt the budget. And then moving forward, the next legal requirement is the adoption of the tax levy on July 14th. And with that, I'll entertain any questions that you may have.
Actually, I'll ask for comments from the public this time. Seeing no comments from the public, I'll close the public hearing. And do I need I don't need a resolution, I just need a motion, correct? Okay. I'll ask for a motion to adopt the truth in taxation increase of $96,008 for fiscal year 08-09.
So moved, as read by the Vice Mayor.
And I'll second it.
Got a motion from Councilmember Holland and a second from Councilmember Cavalier. Any discussion on the questions? This would be the time for us to.
This is on the tax levy.
This is on the tax levy, and then, yep, and then we'll go into a special meeting for the budget here in a moment
After
or two.
the roll call vote.
Right. So anybody got any questions on the tax levy? None. Okay. Roll call vote from the clerk.
Councilmember Cavalier.
Aye.
Councilmember Lord.
Aye.
Councilmember Holland.
Aye.
Councilmember Osborne.
Aye.
Councilmember Sousa.
Aye.
Vice Mayor Antoniak.
Aye.
Passes 6-0.
This time I'll recess the regular meeting and convene a special meeting per Arizona Revised Statutes 42-17105 to determine and adopt estimates of proposed expenditures for the purposes stated in the published proposal. I'll call the special meeting to order. All of us are in attendance. I need a motion to excuse Mayor Kavanaugh.
So moved.
Second.
Got a motion from Councilmember Sousa, a second from Councilmember Holland. All those in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Passes 6-0. Move to item 3. We'll now consider adopting a resolution to adopt the final budget for fiscal year 08-09. And I'll ask the clerk to read the resolution by title only.
Adopt Resolution 08-1245, determining and adopting the final estimates of proposed expenditures by the City of Goodyear for the fiscal year beginning July 1st, 2008 and ending June 30th, 2009.
I'll ask for a motion.
With the adoption of the resolution.
Second.
I have a motion from Councilmember Sousa, a second from Councilmember Lord. Now it's time for discussion on the budget. Questions? Councilmember, or Mr. Sousa, do you have anything?
No.
Motion maker? Okay. Councilmember Osborne?
I do have, you answered a few of my questions, thank you. I am going to ask what the status is on MC85 and that issue, because that was within our CIP, and I do not know that that's been resolved. So do we have an answer?
Mayor and Council, MC85, we're still in negotiation with the county on it. The way it appears in the 5-year plan is the first negotiations we had that they kind of agreed to verbally. So that's the way it appears in our plan, but we're still negotiating with him, so we don't have anything firm at this point. So that's the way it appears. Full well knowing we'll make some adjustments to the plan when we firm up those negotiations to the IGA.
Okay.
And I think John was negotiating with Max, and I believe Friday, and I think he became ill, so
Okay.
we don't have anything further on that. So.
Thank you. I think actually my last is a comment, and I would hope that as our own budget constraints ease, that we will move our police and fire administration building and our public works facility earlier up in our years. I think that needs to be on our radar to move it ahead rather than continuing to push it away. And so I just wanted to make that statement. My opinion.
No, I think many of us feel that way. It's
and I know
as the sales tax comes in, as the new businesses, yeah, I think we're all in that same line of thinking.
It carries a high priority, unfortunately, funding it.
Unfortunately, right now.
And I understand that. And after we just saw that 29% was used on public safety within our budget, where the study just stated we should be at 38.
Sort of gasping, isn't it?
Yeah, it's and that's not even talking about Sonoran Valley. So I just would like it to be on our forefront. Thank you.
Good deal. Any other questions or comments?
Yeah, I'm sorry. I would like to clarify that one. The 29% is of the entire budget, including the enterprise funds, and the 46% was actually a measurement from this budget that they used. That's what Sarah was talking about. So that is the standard that we're at today, and she was applying that carrying forward. I just wanted that clarification so that the record didn't reflect a shortage on that. It was taking today's levels and carrying them forward. That's what created the surplus.
Okay.
Thank you.
I would like to.
Councilmember Cavalier?
Yeah, I'd like to thank Ken Kennedy for taking the time out to explain some of the CIP budget and the way it's been laid out. I've been dealing with budget processes with RPTA and the city and everything, and sometimes this all runs together, and I appreciate you taking the time out, Ken, to explain that to me personally. Thank you very much.
I'd like to add on to that. When you redid that CIP, that 5-year, it was outstanding. I can't tell you, it was so easy to pick a subject and trace it through. Thank you.
That was my original intent. Not the confusion.
You did a great job. Thank you.
Got one question. The $20 million in reserve is forecasted from the previous year, fiscal year's first 4 months, so July 1 through October 30 or so, 31, right?
Right.
So
It's based on it's roughly around $80 million.
okay. So if we looked at last year's first 4 months, according to policies, we'd be about 20 million in expenditures?
It's about
Operating.
a quarter of the year, correct.
Okay. A quarter?
Budget is the same.
Well, our policy says 4 months, so it'll be not to get into semantics, but it's the first 4 months of the fiscal year, right?
Correct.
Okay. All right.
In the operating
Sorry,
budget.
I'm thinking 3.
Yeah.
I'm not doing my math correctly. am I?
Quarter.
Okay. Sorry, I had to ask. I'm trying to find fudge room for that $20 million because we all have a project that needs to get done. So that's why I'm asking the question.
If I could clarify, the
Is it
intent
18.8?
is always
Is it
to do
19.2?
this out of the current budget.
Okay.
But it's the general fund that we measure it upon, not all of the funds. And so that, if you'll notice in there, that number is actually 59 million, so it works out 60 million. 1/3 of that is the 20 million that we're talking about. There's some things that we adjust down that it could be at a lower level, but that's the basis of it.
Okay.
We're not going to find any.
Not going to find another dollar to scratch out of the budget, are we?
We're talking about trying to find that.
I know, I had to ask though.
The money's for the pandemic.
All right, if there's no further discussion, I'll ask the clerk to do a roll call vote.
Councilmember Lord?
Aye.
Councilmember Holland?
Aye.
Councilmember Osborne?
Aye.
Councilmember Sousa?
Aye.
Councilmember Cavalier?
Aye.
Vice Mayor Antoniak?
Aye.
Passes 6-0.
This time I'll adjourn the special meeting and reconvene the regular meeting. The next 3 rezoning ordinances, thank you for the presentation on the budget, by the way. The next 3 rezoning ordinances are all related to the Goodyear City Center and will be discussed together. Council will take action on each ordinance separately. Steve, you've got the presentation. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Vice Mayor, council members. Tonight we do have 3 final PADs before us for the city center. With this vicinity map here, we can see the 3 districts. This is Estrella Parkway, this is Hume Road. All 3 districts named after or around this focal intersection right here. So we have the northeast, southeast, and southwest districts within the city center. Surrounding the city center districts, we have a post office, we have some commercial and multifamily within the Centera PAD to the northeast. Coming around to the southeast, we have the city center air park coming down to our ballpark. Then going further west and south, we have existing residential within Estrella Vista PAD. And to the north, this is northwest quadrant of the city center. This is our quadrant with the high school, then the universities there to the north. All development within the city center will be in accordance with a city center specific area plan that was adopted in 2006. Provides guidance on basically all aspects of development within the city center and uses. Certain aspects of the plan will be regulatory. Those are the underlying text in the plan. Those are aspects that development must adhere to. With this exhibit, we can see that the PADs are consistent with the street pattern establishment of the specific area plan. We have Goodyear Boulevard that will wrap around the city center. That'll be the service and bypass route for traffic around the city center. We have Estrella Parkway, Humer Road maintained through the city center, and also we'll have a pedestrian-oriented Main Street loop that will define the city center core, everything basically along and within Main Street. The specific area plan designated a mix of land uses for the city center, and those have been incorporated into the PAD. The highest densities and intensities of use will be within the city center core, and in accordance with the specific area plan, the PADs follow through with the predominant land uses. So here in the northeast, we'll have hospitality, retail, entertainment. We'll come down to business park and retail, and then we'll move over to residential within the southwest district. Specific area plan required 10% of each district to be in open space, and the PADs follow through with that. And how we can see with this exhibit, we have aspects of the formal open spaces along the intersection there. We have provision of the arroyo that will meander through the districts, and then we have the community open spaces that are planned here. While this is basically an illustrative plan, we basically have the general concept of what the open space will look like in the city center. Architecture is Southwest contemporary. The specific area plan does provide provisions on colors, materials, and design concepts of what help guide development when that happens, what that would look like. Within each PAD, there were provided 3 development scenarios. Basically, a specific area plan talked about development of the city center would take place over time, would evolve over time. With the PADs, those exhibits have tried to show what that progression of development might look like. Basically, one instance, one scenario of how this could occur. Staff has reviewed all 3 PADs. With our technical review, we're looking for that it was consistent with the specific area plan, compatible with the surrounding area, and consistent with our general plan. After our review, we do find it is consistent, it is compatible with the surrounding area. The Planning Commission has recommended approval of the 3 final PADs. Staff is recommending approval subject to the stipulations found in the staff reports. With that, Mr. Vice Mayor, staff, presentation is concluded. Staff and applicant are available for questions.
Is there comments from the applicant? Take that at this time.
Thank you, Vice Mayor, members of the council. Ed Bull, 702 East Osborne, representing Sun MP. We certainly appreciate the recommendations for approval from both the Planning Commission and the staff. We agree with staff's analysis and findings that's in your staff report, as was summarized here this evening by Steve. We have multiple stipulations that apply to each of these PADs. We're in agreement with all of those stipulations. In conclusion, although I'll go into a little bit more detail and more than that if you'd like, but in conclusion, it is our request that your council approve these PADs in accordance with the commission and staff recommendations that are in front of you. As is in your report and as was recapped tonight, we're consistent with the general plan, consistent with a specific area plan that staff specifically found were compatible with the area. This PAD is one of many steps in the processes between where we started years ago to where we need to get to when the city center actually goes under development and evolves into what it is that's visioned for the area. It's something that, again, I can go into more detail quadrant by quadrant if you want, or go into more detail of things that we discussed at the Planning Commission or otherwise, but they were summarized in the staff report and summarized here this evening. I defer to you as to how much additional detail, if any, you need from me at this time. But again, we appreciate the recommendations, appreciate all the work that went into this before we ever filed these PADs back at the time that the specific area plan was adopted, and would request your council's approval.
Thank you, Mr. Bull. You know, we'll take each quadrant by quadrant, and if we have questions specifically to them, if everybody's in agreement. Is that okay?
Yeah. Yes,
Okay.
yes.
So we may call on you.
Okay.
In a minute or two. Any
Stick around.
Yeah, stick around. Any
Okay.
comments from the public? Okay, seeing none. I'll ask the clerk to read ordinance 08-1118 for a mixed-use development known as the Goodyear City Center Northeast District by title only.
Adopt ordinance 08-1118, providing for the conditional rezoning of 31 acres of property from the agricultural urban zoning district to the final planned area development zoning district for a mixed-use development known as the Goodyear City Center Northeast District, located at the northeast corner of Estrella Parkway and Yuma Road, adopting supplementary zoning map number 06-021 to provide for the change in zoning, providing separability, and providing for an effective date.
I'll ask for a motion.
I move we adopt ordinance 08-1118 as read by the city clerk.
Second.
I have a motion from Councilmember Lord and a second from Councilmember Sousa. Is there any discussion on the Northeast District? It's presented by staff and the applicant. No discussion. City Center?
No.
Queen, no
Just
discussion?
one more step to reality.
All right. I'll ask the clerk to do a roll call vote.
Oh, wait a minute.
Councilmember Holland.
Wait, time out. What?
You said you were going to take each one of these separately.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's
I'm getting there.
what the motion just was.
Oh,
Stick
okay,
with
for-
me, I'm coming along.
Okay.
I'll ask the clerk to do a roll call vote on the Northeast District, ordinance 08-1118.
Councilmember Holland.
Aye.
Councilmember Osborne.
Aye.
Councilmember Sousa.
Aye.
Councilmember Cavalier.
Aye.
Councilmember Lord.
Aye.
Vice Mayor Antoniak.
Aye.
Passes 6-0.
Item 9C, I'll ask the clerk to read ordinance 08-1119 for a mixed-use development known as the Goodyear City Center Southeast District by title only.
Adopt ordinance 08-1119, providing for the conditional rezoning of 39 acres of property from the preliminary planned area development zoning district to the final planned area development zoning district for a mixed-use development known as the Goodyear City Center Southeast District, located at the southeast corner of Estrella Parkway and Yuma Road, adopting supplementary zoning map number 06-022 to provide for the change in zoning, providing separability, and providing for an effective date.
I'll ask for a motion for the...
Yeah, Mr. Mayor, I move that we approve ordinance 08-1119 as read by the city clerk.
Second.
A motion by Councilmember Cavalier and a second by Councilmember Holland. Councilmember Cavalier, do you have anything on this one? Not on this one? Anyone else? Seeing no discussion, I'll ask for a roll call vote.
Councilmember Osborne.
Aye.
Councilmember Sousa.
Aye.
Councilmember Cavalier.
Aye.
Councilmember Lord.
Aye.
Councilmember Holland.
Aye.
Vice Mayor Antoniak.
Aye.
Passes 6-0.
Item 9D, I'll ask the clerk to read ordinance 08-1120 for a mixed-use development known as the Goodyear City Center Southwest District by title only.
Adopt ordinance 08-1120, providing for the conditional rezoning of 46 acres of property from the preliminary and final planned area development zoning districts to the final planned area development zoning district for a mixed-use development known as the Goodyear City Center Southwest District, located at the southwest corner of Estrella Parkway and Yuma Road, adopting supplementary zoning map number 06-023 to provide for the change in zoning, providing separability, and providing for an effective date.
I'll ask for a motion.
Move the adoption of ordinance number 08-1120, as read by the city clerk.
Second.
Got a motion from Councilmember Sousa, a second from Councilmember Lord. Mr. Sousa, you have anything on this one?
Nothing at all.
Okay. Anyone else?
Happy to have it, yeah.
Yes, sir. Mr. Cavalier.
Question on this one, on the residential. I do have a question, and that is, are you mixing in the high-density residential, or the mixed use for that matter, are you mixing the rental properties with the properties that we purchased? In other words, condos with apartments. Is there a mix in there, or is that all one or the other? I assume that's high density.
Sounds like that's a question for the applicant, not staff. So
Right,
I'll let Mr.
that's why
I'll let
I'm
Mr.
looking
Bull.
at the applicant. It says residential, and I just want to know if that's,
Steve, you can answer that this time. Who knows the market conditions?
I think you're asking kind of a horizontal question, not a
Right.
vertical question.
right.
Within any given building, it would be either for sale or it would be rental vertically within any given building. Within the overall southwest
overall.
quadrant, we would anticipate, again, depending upon market conditions and market demand, we would anticipate that there would be a for sale component or components and a rental component or components.
Okay, because there's concern that I've been at this Livable Cities Conference, and the cities who combined, and I say we've got an area like that too, where we've combined. Now, I understand that you're going to sell you sell that, you didn't, in your control for that person you sell to rent it. So I know that's out of your control. But combination of those sometimes is a problem in some of the cities for livability. So I just wanted to point that out. Take heed of that and watch.
Frank, I have a question. Were those newly developed, or were those
They were
redevelopment?
Both. Some redevelopment and some in newly developed. It was cases where, anyway, the recommendations came to us that you really shouldn't mix the two. People want to buy a block of these and rent them out. That's then their responsibility. That's not nearly the problem, but to mix, and we have that in the northeast with those new apartments and condos coming in. But I just want to say, keep your eye on that and ask you to do some research on that and see what you find. That's all I'm asking.
We would anticipate that if you had say a 5-acre development within this southwest quadrant, that 5-acre development would either be all for sale or all rental. If next to it you had another 5-acre development, that it would be all for sale or all rental, and so on. I wouldn't anticipate that within the same 5 acres you would start out by having some of them for sale and some of them rental. Okay.
And then that can evolve someday to condos, and they'll be sold, the rentals.
It can be,
So
yes.
it's ever evolving.
Any other discussion on the motion? I'll ask the clerk to do a roll call vote. Thank you, Mr. Bull.
Councilmember Sousa.
Aye.
Councilmember Cavalier.
Aye.
Councilmember Lord.
Aye.
Councilmember Holland.
Aye.
Councilmember Osborne.
Aye.
Vice Mayor Antoniak.
Aye.
Passes 6-0.
Thank you. Mr. Tupper, thank you for your dedication to that process, whether it's a tin shed housing water stuff or a water easement. We appreciate it. All the flexibility Sun MP's had for us over the last several years.
Yeah, and I appreciate all you've done to help the stadium along with a number of concerns. Thank you.
With that, move to item 10, information items for comments, commendations, report on current events, and presentations by mayor, council members, staff, and members.
I never tell you anything I've done. But this,
Tell us something you've done.
This week I'm going to
Oh,
tell you.
this is nice.
I accepted in your name, the mayor, and the council's name, a $5,000 check from Southwest Ambulance Service to the city's summer swim lesson program. And I think it's a very compassionate commitment. We thank them for their generous amount, and what can I say? The commitment's going to save lives. So they've done this a number of years, and they continue to be dedicated to saving the children. So I appreciate that. The other thing, I attended today the West Valley Human Alliance meeting to end childhood hunger. And boy, I was stricken by how many we have of hungry children, families in the West Valley, or in Maricopa County. They gave a number of 400,000. I was terribly alarmed. And 1 in every 50 families are filing for bankruptcy right now. So you can see that we've got a lot ahead of us as a city to...
It's a staggering figure.
It's a staggering figure. So, you can see that the food banks are going to be important, that we keep them filled. The school programs, half of the people, I think there were 1,000 people that could do food stamps, and only half of them were actually taking advantage of it. The other startling factor was high school students are too proud to accept the lunch programs. And so that's another barrier in which they have to cross. So anyway, it just really touched my heart on this. And the other thing I attended today was the GPEC Solar Energy Seminar. And we were briefed by a company that's come into the valley where you can lease your solar panels. And I thought it was really ingenuity. And you can pay a service charge, and it comes way under what it would cost you normally to install. So for those people that don't have the funds to lay out for that, this is another resort. The other thing is, you talk to your legislature. We've lost in the last few years 9 different associations where we could have brought in solar companies to the valley, and we've lost them to other states because our state legislature continuously does not support an incentive program for these companies. And the sad part of this is these companies bring high-paying jobs, so it's not just minimum wage. So if you happen to run them in the store, or you want to call them up or send them an email, I encourage you to do that. That's good.
Where did this figure come from, the 1 in 50?
It came today from the Alliance. They had all the experts up there. And in fact, there is a site, and I didn't bring it, but I want to bring it and give it to Connie, where people in your city can go online and get in contact with people that are going to help them through a bankruptcy or a house repossession or can't pay your bills. So there's a number of organizations have come together, and there's a website they can go to help get advice. I know.
Is she through? Go ahead.
Yeah. Anybody else on this side?
Sure. I just wanted to add that Frank and Georgia and I and Brenda
Sweltering Saturday night.
on Saturday night sweltered in the heat for an hour. At hour and a half? Oh, okay. For the Southwest Valley Chamber of Commerce's 50th anniversary, and I congratulate them. I congratulated them that night, too, amongst other things.
I think, Frank, you accepted an award for the city. Were you
Yes,
not
I
going
did.
to tell people?
Yeah, I forgot what the award is now.
It was
I took the big plaque and I took it into the
Support
city.
and cooperation of Goodyear.
Yeah, support and cooperation of Goodyear. All the cities received one, and I received the award for Goodyear. I took it up to the city that evening and dropped it off, and I got home. I thought, someone's going to ask me at this council meeting, what is that award for? And I forgot, so I appreciate that. Thank you for reminding me that. And I have a comment on another comment on solar. The tax credits that the state is paying out on solar will run out at the end of this year. And the legislature has not, at this time, done anything to renew that. So that's another thing you want to hit your legislators about. I did, and I've caught hell for it, but I would do it again. It doesn't matter. I'll tell them again. But I guess they thought perhaps I was working for some company, and I was, as a council member, going to bat for that company to get solar credits in, and I wasn't. I was thinking of the city, but the credit runs out at the end of this year, and the legislature so far has done nothing to renew that for the coming years.
Thanks, Gary.
Councilmember Holland.
Just a quick thing for information, but on Saturday, I got another opportunity to tour the new ball field. And I can tell you guys, I had my picture taken in the dugout. Now we can do that. You know, for a while there, we couldn't get in there without a hard hat. So this time I was there. I got my picture taken. Regis, of course, is wonderful on the tours. He took me everywhere. And it was hot. But inside the buildings, it was comfortable. It was unbelievable because there's no air conditioning or fans or anything. They're all in there working. But it was an excellent tour, and I certainly hope that some of the rest of you, if you have an opportunity, need to do that because it was just very, very exciting.
One note to the 1 in 50. I heard this morning that I guess the poverty level is readjusted every February. So with all the increases in gas and other expenses that go along with gas, those folks are suffering even more. So now's the time to, bring a pallet of water to the city or bring a donation to some of those folks in need and pay attention to those neighbors that are around us and help them out.
The faith-based organizations are doing a lot.
With that, manager's summary of current events. Reports from Mr. Dalkey.
Vice Mayor, members of the council, just a reminder, we will have a special council meeting on July the 7th. At that meeting, we'll be bringing forward several agreements. We'll have Cincinnati Reds use agreement that tentatively we're bringing these forward. And the Indians will be amending their use agreement. We'll have an agreement with Barton Mallow that would be the contractor, and the HOK for the architects and JMI Sports. So everything's moving forward for that. That's July the 7th. And we think we'll be there, but if not, it may move to July 14th. But at this time, we're expecting the 7th. We will be, just as a reminder to the public, July 14th, after that council meeting, we will not have council meetings until the latter part of August. So we get to go on recess at that point, after July 14th. Hold your applause, please. In terms of follow-up, we do have a couple of follow-up items, and those are we will be following up on Rio Paseo Park, some of the conditions there. We will follow up with Mr. Gilbert, let him know what we find, as well as we'll be updating council as well. At this point, obviously, we don't have enough information to provide, but we will update you. The second item I had is we'll provide an update on where we're at with the MC85 project with the county, and we'll keep you informed of where we're at with those negotiations. So, Vice Mayor, that's all I have.
Deal. Any inquiries of staff from council? I just have one remark, and I'll tell you, I went to Charlie Vinoy Services, as did a couple of us last week, and I'll tell you, to see the support for Linda was outstanding. And so, y'all are a family on a day-to-day basis inside the city, and I think that the church was filled with 40, 50, 60, 70 people from the city. It was outstanding to see you all circle around her and help her out during her time in need. So, with that, I'll adjourn the meeting.